Life will never be. Life. Life will never be the same. Good morning.
Rock here.
Nancy here. Oh, so we
Hadaway in the house.
We both had this song in our heads this morning.
I'm like, you're putting that song. It was in my head. I had it in my head.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Cheers, everybody.
We're in sync. Cheers.
The bloody.
Ooh.
Oh wow. I put blackstrap molasses in there, so it has iron and lots of vitamin. Because you need vitamin C to leach the iron.
Iron.
Iron. I know.
Iron.
I always say that wrong. I don't know.
Iron. Is it Iron Man?
Whoa.
Jeez.
How's everybody doing this morning?
How is
It's
everybody
Monday.
doing?
It's a start to a brand new week.
Oh,
I hope it's off to a good start for you guys.
Just finished a cold shower.
Yeah, it's
Super
a hot
cold.
one. It's a hot one.
It's like I was telling Nancy this morning, I felt like a rotisserie chicken last night. I just kept rotating so the fan could dry me off in certain sections, and then I would wake up. Time to rotate, and my back was all wet, and then my side, and then my. Neck.
I know. We're gonna have to bite the bullet next year and get an AST of some
Well,
sort.
specifically if I'm going to be doing shift work.
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to rotate like that.
I know.
I'm going to have to get a cool room.
Yes.
A chamber of solitude.
Right. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you
Good
so much
morning.
for joining us. We are off to a good start this week.
Did some yoga
it's
this morning.
self-education this week. We did yoga together this morning.
Self-education
yoga
last
with
night.
Adrian. Yes.
The body keeps score.
The Body Keeps the Score. It's such an amazing book. Oh my goodness.
Talk about PTSD and childhood trauma and all sorts of stuff and how it relates to
how to heal your trauma.
energy that's blocked in your system.
Right.
So that's important. Coming from both childhood with traumas in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to learn about that stuff and to understand.
My goodness. Emotional healing.
They were
goes a
saying
long way.
something like in the States, 1 out of 5 children is molested by someone they know or just abused sexually.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And I think in Canada it's 1 in 6, if I'm not mistaken.
That is crazy. That
One
is
out of
unbelievable.
Wait. I think it's 1 out of 4 is girls, 1 out of 6 is boys.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow. Yeah, this week we wanted to focus on self-education only because it goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
The number one self-care that you could do, the perfect area to invest in is in yourself.
In yourself.
And
100%.
your well-being, especially if you've had to go through some
Anything.
childhood trauma or any trauma really. It's really because it puts you into this fight or flight response and your brain doesn't know how to switch it off, so it's good to understand how to do that.
And we've mentioned several times, or I have mentioned several times, that if you don't invest in your health now, you're going to pay for it later on.
Yeah.
Well, the
That
same goes
with
with mental health and
Absolutely.
self-education.
Yes.
If you don't self-educate yourself and you stay stagnant, well, it actually shows the effects on your brain. It's like it shrinks your brain. When you don't learn, you don't work out your brain.
You don't use it, you lose it.
You do the same things over and over every day because we're creatures of habit.
Yes.
And so your brain gets kind of like tunnel vision, where the material in the brain, which is 60% fat, by the way, it shapes and gets concentrated in these areas.
Yes.
So like when you look at somebody who's an addict, for example, you're going to see in the brain there's a pathway that's created there. It's dense. That's why they have a hard time not being addicts. Well, it's the same thing with everyday life. We're addicts of our own routines.
Yes, exactly.
So you gotta do some self-development. You gotta do some self-growth. You gotta teach yourself new things.
And consistency.
Anything. We like the self-growth and development area. We like that because it helps us.
Absolutely.
But if you just want to learn a new language, same thing.
Yeah.
It'll do the same thing to your brain.
Absolutely.
It'll make it
Novelty will make your brain grow and stay healthy. Yeah, so the same thing goes we have neurotransmitters inside our brain, and they fire and wire together based on your past experience, your habitual patterns,
environment, everything.
And then or self-talk. It's all that's why they say positive affirmation goes a long way, because you're literally in the neuroscience world, you're literally firing and wiring your brain, the neurons together to form your reality.
Exactly. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between real and what you think is real.
Yeah.
So if you wake up in the morning and you drop something, you say, idiot, to yourself, your brain's like, okay, I'm an idiot. Doesn't know the difference. There's no, like, I don't know, it just doesn't know the difference between what you think and what is real.
Right.
Just like fear, your brain doesn't know the difference between real imminent danger, like get out of the way, the bus is just about to hit you, versus the fear you get from public speaking or singing a karaoke song.
Yeah.
You're telling your brain that you're in that kind of state, right? So you really want to concentrate on not putting yourself in that kind of state of mind.
Yeah, because it's like the fear that we feel from, like, we're social creatures, right? So we want to belong, we want to feel loved and connected.
Yeah.
So when we put ourselves out there, like either we make videos or we just, you know, speak what we want to say, it's a vulnerable area to be in. So it really, we get kind of in a fight or flight response because
100%.
We're scared of whether we're going to be accepted or not, and
that's the main.
To us, it screams to the brain and says like, "Ooh, that could be potential danger." So that's why a lot of people freeze when they want to say something, and they don't know.
Right, they would rather be accepted and silent than speak out and maybe not be part of the mold.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being accepted. I'm not saying that, but if that's your only goal is to be accepted, then you're gonna have a hard life. I was talking to you about this, and this is a sidebar for everybody. We talk about kindness and compassion and all that, and there's some truth to that. You have to be kind, you have to be compassionate, caring. But if you cannot risk being cruel, speaking out sometimes, if you can't do that, you will be the victim of cruelty and all that stuff your whole life. If you can't grow out of your own little insecurities, you're always going to be victimized by either insecure people or your own insecurities. It's just going to keep repeating, and you're never going to grow out of that. So part of that, how to grow out of that, is self-education, self-development.
Self-awareness.
Just for the simple fact that if the more you know, the more you learn about stuff, the more you're open, right? If you're somebody who's obese, you're out of shape, learn by people who have been there and now are fit. Now, we all know that the idea of this six-pack, muscles, that's not necessarily what we're talking about here, health-wise. We just want you to feel good in your own skin. But the best way to learn from any sort of experience is to learn from others who've experienced that.
Yes, and learn how to stay like that. Because oftentimes what happens is that when, like, because your neurotransmitters are firing and wiring together based on your past experiences, that's why you'll see people go back to like gain back the weight they've lost, go back to abusive relationships, go back to the environment they know, because to the brain that's familiar. I mean, we know, like we know that's not the right thing to do, but because the brain wants to go to what is familiar, it's comfortable. That's why you'll see some people go back to their old ways if they're not on top of their self-education and growing themselves, because it's what we're used to. So
yes, the core essence of yourself will always be the same. You can change things about yourself. You can do that, but the core is always the same. That's why you just said, when people stop doing the work, they revert back to the core. That's why when you see some people, wow, when they're doing the work and they're exercising and they're eating healthy, they're in super good shape.
I got a good example
of that,
actually.
6 months down the road, you see them, they haven't done the work, they're back to where they were.
Yeah, like for me, my own experience, like I grew up being an anxious kid, being afraid of everything, literally everything. I had trouble staying home alone.
The movie Home Alone.
Yeah. I had trouble going out, and I was always afraid of everything, just because, you know, my circumstances growing up there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and
you did not have a stable childhood.
So that just resulted in me feeling anxious and scared of everything. So later on in life, getting into the personal growth and self-development, world and like self-education, all that thing, like just learning how to be more at peace with myself took a lot of work, and it's consistent.
It was even before that. Sorry to cut you off, but it was even before that. Even when we first met, right? You had met me.
Yeah.
And I was more of a adventurous, camping outdoors, and you were all afraid of that. I remember that. Mm-hmm. It was when you started doing those things that you started getting less and less afraid, and then we fell into the
of course.
development and self-growth world, and then that just helped a lot even more, right?
Oh my god, yeah, and it just proves to me that you can really switch your mindset by consistently like staying on top of your game with the self-education, because when you don't, I do find myself reverting back to old ways. Like
that's normal.
Now I feel like free to go go biking on my own and not being afraid. Doing videos like this, where beforehand I was super afraid of doing that because it's so vulnerable and so scary. But you're learning how to, like, you're learning the tools to how to overcome those fear and turning into the fascination, and then just kind of live your life on your terms.
Yeah.
Which I think that's it goes a long way, really.
100%. I mean, 100%. If you don't like where you are in your life.
No, I didn't like being afraid of everything. I was like a prisoner in my own mind. It was like living small, staying small, playing small. Now it's like I'm able to play full out, help the others, and improve their life some way, shape, or form. And it's to me, it's so fulfilling. And it's
just remember this. Remember, keep this in mind. If you want your life to change outside, if you want everything to change, that comes from within.
Right.
You have to make the changes.
Right.
It's not going to be some miracle pill. Right?
No.
Sure, you can go. What I mean by that is, yes, you can go and get external things to help you change, external education, right? But if the desire's got to come from within, you got to want to change. The only way your life is ever going to change is when you change. That's it.
Yeah, but
Simple
change comes from in the state of pain or suffering,
right,
or in a state of joy and inspiration. So at the beginning, for me, it was through pain and suffering, because I kept suffering from anxiety, and I was afraid of everything, and I was just like I just couldn't bear anything else. Like I was living such a comfortable, small life. So now, like, and then kind of like it moved away from listening to the stuff that was inspiring me and make me feel joy and at peace, and it just completely changed everything, because us humans, we base our decisions on two things. We want to move away from pain, and we want to head towards pleasure. That's why oftentimes those quick fixes, like eating healthy,
the pizza, the beer,
comfort
the
food,
chips, that's all part of that.
Drinking and watching hours of Netflix, social media, all those things. Those are the quick fixes because they feel good, and they also numb out our pain that we're currently feeling. Especially during this on and off lockdown, this global pandemic, it's leaving us feeling more anxious, more stressed.
I'm feeling the PTSD from that.
More isolated. So all those things. So that's why it's easy to go to those quick fixes. But the self-education really helps us be more mindful of our thoughts, our actions, and our habits, and then can create us a better quality of life despite what's going on around us.
Fantastic. Wrap it up there. I can't say anything better than that. As always,
we love you. We're thinking about you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:45. Cheers.
Be a good person. Come on.